All right, thank you, Lorenzo. Hi, guys. Good afternoon. Nice to be here with you, and welcome to the session from Power BI to Excel, the best of the two worlds. My name is Pedro Reis, and I'll be here with you for the next hours to show you the session. So let me tell you guys a little bit about me. I am Portuguese. I am a team leader at Natixis, investment bank of BPCE, one of the largest banks in Europe. I work with business intelligence, with big data, software development teams. I am a MCSA in BI reporting. I also have a degree from MIT. I've come more from the business side. So I came from a business user to the context of a business analyst, then to a business intelligence architect. So I passed through all these roles, and I think my experience, that's why I have an experience working not only with Power BI, but also with Excel, and to leverage the two, and I want to share with you guys about it. I'm also the one of the leaders of the Power BI Portugal group. I organize regular meetups and content. So if you guys are interested at any point, we do in Portuguese, we do it in English. At any time, just reach out and let's get in touch. Whenever I can, I'm also a regular speaker at events like this, like the SQL Saturday, the old one, the new Data Saturday, Power Platform World Tour, and I'm also, whenever possible, I really enjoy to share and to talk about Power BI and data topics. So let's get to our session. The first thing I want to tell you guys is our objectives for today. The first thing is, before getting into really why Power BI in Excel, I want to tell you the story. It will be relevant for you to understand why it is important. The story about Excel, Power BI in its evolution. Then I want to tell you how we can use Power BI in Excel to really analyze Power BI datasets. I want to demonstrate to you guys how to do it in Excel and why to do it, what are the reasons. Some ideas and techniques using DAX and even MDX, multidimensional expressions, and maybe even, who knows, turn you guys into a super user of both Power BI and Excel. So, who is the target for this presentation? I think really this can be useful if you are like a business user or an analyst and you want to have more flexibility into analyzing your data sets in Excel or in Power BI and leverage the two together. This is also useful, I think, for an IT professional who wants to give the best options in terms of governance to your models to the users. So I think it's also useful. So let's start with our story. I want to tell you guys, why is Excel so popular? So let me tell you a little story. And this story is about the invention of the spreadsheet. So I will share with you guys. I don't know how many of you will know this story, but please meet the fathers of the spreadsheet, Bob Frankson and Dan Bricklin, two colleagues from MIT, that together they come to solve a very big business problem, and I'll tell you about it. So here goes the story about the invention of the spreadsheet.
One of the first problems that I ran into was, how do you represent values in formulas? Let me show you what I mean. I thought that you would point somewhere, type in some words, then type in somewhere else, put in some numbers and some more numbers, point where you want the answer, and then point to the first, press minus, point to the second, and get the result. The problem was, what should I put in the formula? It had to be something the computer knew what to put in, and if you looked at the formula, you needed to know where on the screen it referred to. So the first thing I thought was the programmer way of doing it. The first time you pointed to somewhere, the computer would ask you to type in a unique name. It became pretty clear pretty fast that that was going to be too tedious. The computer had to automatically make up the name and put it inside. So I thought, why not make it be the order in which you create them? I tried that, value 1, value 2. Pretty quickly I saw that if you had more than a few values, you'd never remember on the screen things were. Then I said, why not, instead of allowing you to put values anywhere, I'll restrict you to a grid. Then when you pointed to a cell, the computer could put the row and column in as a name. And if I did it like a map and put ABC across the top and numbers along the side, if you saw B7 in a formula, you'd know exactly where it was on the screen. And if you had to type a formula in yourself, you'd know what to do. Restricting you to a grid helped solve my problem. It also opened up new capabilities, like the ability to have ranges of cells. But it wasn't too restrictive. You could still put any value, any formula in any cell. And that's the way we do it to this day, almost 40 years later.
So this is the secret, any value, anywhere in any cell. And we still do it this way. So the great thing about Excel that it doesn't exist exactly in the same way in Power BI is this grid that you can type and reference each of the cells and not to reference the entire visual. So this is a key difference, and we'll come back to it a little bit later. For you guys to also know, what was really the look of the first program that was developed by Dan Brickley. So let me show you how it looked like.
Come up with was Electroledger. And calculator. The problem I had with Perm Ledger is nobody outside finance would know what a ledger is. But it was a visible calculator, the way I thought of it. So it was obvious that visible calculator, VisiCalc. When Apple was going to go public, they couldn't go public until I found the last bug in the Apple III VisiCalc. So I was trying to find this bug, and they were waiting.
This is a very interesting time because Bob was working on the Apple III VisiCalc, and the Apple III was the new Apple, the first business version of the Apple they were going to do, and Apple was holding off going public.
I don't have a direct proof, but
it seemed really weird that as soon as we okayed the shipment, we finally okayed the shipment, the next day they actually went public.
So we see also here, it already had that ranges A, B, C, D, and the rows numbers. And it was so important for Apple to go public. They needed this software as a piece of the computer as we know today as a working environment. So it was a critical and fundamental piece. And this was such a huge milestone and breakthrough that in Harvard Business School, they have a room which has the name and a plate in homage of Dan Brickley of the invention of the spreadsheet. It has here in this room, it was conceived the first spreadsheet program. So really an amazing milestone. Then Excel started to evolve. So in 2003, this was the lookalike. In 2007 comes out the ribbon, that top section that we have with all the shortcuts and buttons. In 2010 comes out Power Pivot, also a critical milestone towards the path to Power BI, where you can already relate tables to each other and entities and create a model with relationships and also with the language of tags. In 2013 comes out Power Query, where you can do the ETL part in the data transformation within Excel too. So these two come together, they are born inside Excel, they are still available within Excel, and in 2015, July 24th, Power BI general availability comes out and Power BI is released to the public. And since this date till the day we are, the vision of Power BI is still, it has evolved a lot, but I really like the vision where it came out. And I want to share with you guys for a minute too.
Introducing Power BI by Microsoft. Power BI is a cloud-based business analytics service, enabling anyone to visualize and analyze data with greater speed, efficiency, and understanding. Get started with Power BI in seconds. Just sign up and you're good to go. Within minutes, you'll see your data in new ways thanks to content packs, pre-built dashboards and reports by popular service providers like Salesforce.com or Google Analytics. And in one dashboard, you'll experience a live 360-degree view of your business. Monitor your data in real time from nearly any device across all major operating systems. Set up mobile alerts to your phone when your data changes, and share your reports and dashboards with ease. Drag and drop features enable you to go deeper with your data and explore it in new ways by asking simple questions. No need to learn a new language with Power BI. Easily clean, shape, and model your data to create impactful, shareable reports. Power BI. Experience your data. Any data, any way, anywhere. Sign up for Power BI today.
So any data, anyway, anywhere, this is still the vision of Power BI, and it's quite exciting. I don't know about what you guys feel, but for me, I still get goosebumps every time I see this video. And yesterday, when the Gartner quadrant, the new Gartner quadrant came out, you really see why Microsoft and Power BI is a leader in business intelligence technology. So let's go to the part that you guys are more interested in. Now that you know the story of Excel, let's see how it comes up to the point of analyzing Power BI data in Excel. So first thing is for you guys to know that this is possible. It's possible to analyze Power BI dataset in Excel. It's basically the same as connecting to an Analysis Services Cube, SSAS Cube. You just need to download and install a plugin, a package from Power BI Service. The steps to do it very quickly. You download here. You install the Analyze in Excel updates. It downloads a package. You just open it up. You install it, complete the OLEDB provider, and then you will be good to go. When you go to a workspace and you select any of your reports or directly the dataset, in the three ellipses, you have the option to analyze in Excel, and it downloads a file, an XLS file. Before it was an ODC file. Now it's an XLS file, and you are ready to go. So when you open, you will see in a minute what happens. So why do we want to analyze Power BI data in Excel if we can do it in Power BI? From my experience, I can mention a number of cases that it's quite relevant to do so. First of all is sometimes the users really prefer to analyze the data in a pivot table format. Maybe you are in a maturity case that you allow the users to do self-service reports on Power BI and self-service. But you might be in the case that you do not allow that. And so they want to have the flexibility, the same as they do in Excel about a pivot table. You want also, second case is to automate some of the normal exports to Excel that are being done by the users. They consult the information, they see their KPIs, but they want to export an extraction of the data. So it's a very common use case. Third case, analyzing data from more than one data set at the same time. And in Excel, you can connect to multiple data sets in Power BI at the same time. Fourth option is to take advantage of the Excel granular referencing, like we've just seen, which in Power BI is much more difficult to reference just a part of a table or anything. And in Excel, you can do a calculation like B2 plus B4 plus C3, and it will work. In Power BI, it's much harder unless you are an expert in DAX. Other use cases, you can feed existing reports too. You can also configure dimensions or lists that you don't have it exactly the way that you want. You can manipulate them in figure or any general data exploration purposes. Let's focus on these first four, and I want to show you guys a demo of how we can reach these first four use cases in analyzing in Excel in Power BI. So let's go to a demo. So I'm here in Power BI service in the cloud. I have some content here, some data sets, and associated with them, I have a couple of reports. So what I can do in each of them, I can click here in the ellipses. I could also do it directly in the data set. I will do it in the reports, and I will click the Analyze in Excel. I will do it for this report that is worldwide importers. Okay. So when I open this report, I will have to enable the external content, and it just opens a blank pivot table. And with this pivot table, you have the access to the model that is underlying in your model. So if you, for instance, I want to have here, I think it's sales. This is just a sales model. It's the worldwide importers demo file from Microsoft. I want to have my total sales amount, and then I want to have it by state. And maybe I want to have it later by year. This is my proposal. I think it's my calendar. Yeah, I have my calendar year. I will put it here in the filters. Okay, so I have my analysis here, and now I can play with this. I can drag it to columns. You have the first cases that we've seen, data exploration and to analyze in a pivot table report. You already see how this is possible. So let's do the same thing for a second data set. I will do also for this global superstore. I will analyze in Excel. It will open another file. I will click on it. Okay, so I'll enable editing. And I have it here. Yeah, And I can do exactly the same thing. Now I can start doing a pivot table and all that, and I can put my sales. Yeah, here I have it. I think it's not the good one. Total sales should be this one. And maybe I have some states, exactly. So here I can do it, and now I can put the year, etc. So now let's say that I've already seen two cases. If I want to connect these two and do an analytics of the two together, what can I do? Let me exemplify with this one here. So if I go to data and I go to queries and connections, what I see here is that this data set is connected to my data set that is in Azure. So if I right click and go to properties, in the definition, you see here the name of the connection. I can put worldwide importers tests as the name, and you have here the connection string associated with all the permissions that we can have. So I'll put OK. It's just a renaming of my connection. When I click refresh in my data, if my report changed in the Power BI service, it will get updated data, so I'll get there. And if I want to copy this pivot table and put it in another report, I can open here this spreadsheet and I just place it here. I don't need it. I have already done that. I did the same thing for the two data sets that I have here. You guys will be able to see here in my connections, I have already the connection to worldwide importers and to Superstore. So I will not need this one here. I just need, so I can put as many connections as I need in my Excel. So I have the two of them already here, which is quite interesting. And now I can start comparing the sales by each of the states in both models. So in worldwide importers and in global Superstore. And I can see, I can do a sum, right? Now I can put that the sales of Alabama in one of the data sets plus in the other one, I can do the calculation in the total. Well, this is yet not so easy. Maybe I want to mash up and merge the data together, or I just want to create some sample extractions from this data. So other options we have is if I have a pivot table like this, and I will click on it, I will double click. It will transform me into a query, a DAX query to my data model. And I can refresh. It will retrieve me back my data. And in my query, in my table, I can see, I can edit the query. And you see here an option to do a query to any of your tables. So if I do something different, I like evaluate geography, which is a basic DAX query. If I want to change it and I click OK, you guys see now I have the option. I don't need this one. I can hide it or delete it. Now I'm connected to my model, and every time I need an extraction, I just click refresh, and it will go to my data set that it's here. This data set here, worldwide importers, and it's getting fresh data from there. I can change if I want. I could do to another. I can copy to another one. I think I have one employee, evaluate employee, and there I have my data about the employees too. So it's very simple, and it's intuitive, and you can get all your data together. So let's proceed. I will close these ones for now that I will not need. Let's proceed with our demo. So we've seen these 4 cases already of why it is important and why it might be relevant to allow this analyzing in Excel. Some of the considerations here. Well, having access to this feature and giving access to the users might put us in a little bit in perspective, because now it's important to have a good data set, clean, organized, good naming convention, and intuitive. There is the step, it requires explicit measures. I will explain you in a second. And everything that is hidden in the model will not be available too. And the principle of continuity, which is if you allow some fields in the model that are not used in any of the reports that otherwise would be invisible for the users, if you make the Analyze in Excel feature available through the tenant settings of your governance, then if the users have access to that field and they create a report on that, you will have to maintain it for them. Otherwise, the report can be broken. So you need to think on what are the objects and the attributes that you are placing available in your model. So let's go back to our demo, and I will explain you exactly what I mean by this. So imagine you have here a report like, I think it's this one, Airport Authority. Well, and you have here a report in the cloud. It looks quite nice. You have maybe a flight analysis, something like that. And all the report, this is just a sample report, it's, data from InfoSets, and it looks quite nice. You can maybe click on some data and interact it, but there are a couple of problems associated with this report. And I have downloaded it, and I have it here in my desktop, which is when you go to the modeling part of this report, you will see that something very strange happens. So, for instance, you have a table which is called July to December. You have a table airport codes, feedback ratings, and there are no relationships between the tables. So it looks visually very beautiful, the report, but in the way that it's constructed and in the relationships, it's not very clear in the way that it is. So what does this mean? This means that, imagine for your end users, if they are, let me go back to my demo workspace. If I want to do here an analyze in Excel of this data set and you allow them to do them, then I'm going to open it. Now imagine you just gave access to your users of this model, and what will happen? The report they have access looks nice, but now they stumble upon something like this and they have no idea how to use it, what is the good data or something like that. You have like a table July to December. This is really strange for the users. And other thing too that we need to consider is that only the measures that have like the sum sign in Power BI, the measure sign in Power BI will appear here. If you have like the default aggregation, like a default sum or a default count, you will not be able to use those columns here in your report. So if I search something like flight type here, so you see flight type, and I know that if I open here in this report, I think it's here. So you have like here a count of flight type, and you have 10 flights. But if you put the flight type here, you cannot put it in the values. You cannot count it. There is any measure that is flight type, because in reality you just have a column which flight type. So when you are administering your model, you have to think about this. If the analyze in Excel feature is available for the users, it's important to have these considerations. So let's continue. Other use case I want to show you guys is breaking a pivot. What I mean by this is pivot tables are great, but sometimes they don't give you the necessary flexibility that you need. So imagine this case. How would you do something like this with a pivot table? You want for 2014 and 2015 to have the sales, but for the last year, 2016, you want to have 3 KPIs, the sales, the profit, and the quantity. So how can you do this with a pivot table? So let's go to another demo. So I will pick this table here from my worldwide importers. I will put it here. I will filter just 1 year just to have a smaller data size. 2016 should be okay. Okay, so we have one option in Excel, which is you click in the pivot table analysis, here, yeah. In the pivot table analysis, you go to all app tools here, and you can do convert to formulas or pivot table. I suggest to convert also the report filters, and what it will do, it will cell by cell give you an expression which retrieves a value here. So, and this uses a separate logic, which are multiple dimensional expressions and cube functions. So you get a cube value, which is connecting to your worldwide importers model connection, and then it's crossing, it's filtering by state, by the year, and then a different expression. And now what you can do with this, you can manipulate it at will. You can just leave whatever you want. And if I change here, instead of Arizona, I can type like Texas, and you will see the value magically changes. So this report now you can manipulate and you can put it in a different format. You can change the position of the cells. You can do whatever you want. So let's see how you can solve, knowing this, how we can solve this problem that we have here. So the first thing I want to have here to do a formula is I will copy this formula for Arizona, and I want to have in each of the cells here a function which retrieves me what is called a cube member, and I will explain this in a minute. So I'll put a cube member that retrieves me Texas. I will put here a cube member that retrieves me the measure cells, and I don't need to go get it anywhere. I can start from the scratch, equals cube member. I type the connection. I just have to open quotes, and it will detect which of connections exist in my model. And the member expression, I open quotes, and then I can go, I want my measures, dot, and I have a list of my measures available. So I want my total sales. I close quotes, and now I just turn this into a cube member. I already have it here for the year. I will just change it to 2014. And now what I can do is what I call a cube value function, cube value. And I can recall my worldwide importers. And I can say I want to cross this with this. And finally, just one measure maximum. As many members as you want, just one measure. And now I can, using the cell referencing to lock the C column and also the 5 and 6 rows, I can drag and drop it, and it will get the data automatically for me. So if I populate the entire table, it's magically populated, so I can do whatever I want. And now if I want to put here an indicator in the middle, like a conditional formatting, compared what was my growth, divided one minus the other, divided by 1, and in percentage, I can put here some signs. I can do some conditional formatting. I can put some icons maybe. So I can do all of this with the flexibility of Excel connected to my model. And when I refresh my model, it will get the data back from my updated version of my data set. So this is another example. Going on. About the language of the cubes and these expressions that I showed you. What you guys need to know is about these three possibilities. There is the cube value, is when you are going to call for one single value, and you can use as many cube members as you want, as long as there are some rules. You can cross any number of members and sets, just one measure maximum. Of course, it wouldn't make sense to have sales and profit in the same measure, and just one attribute from each dimension, like the category and subcategory, but not both. So we just seen this option also to convert to formulas so that you can manipulate them, and you can also change, if you want not to have it hard coded, you can change it to a cell reference to which you change the text. I think I can demonstrate this one too. So I will copy this. If I type here, let's say this is Texas. And now in this part, I think it's like this. And I think it's like this, I suppose. No, I don't see exactly how it is, but we can change basically this cell that we can mention it in another cell, and then you have the dynamic so that you don't have to type it. I think I don't exactly remember what is the expression. I think it's like this and this. I think it's like this. Yeah. So if I change it now, let's say New York. So you'll see the entire row is updated. I can change it to Florida. And my formulas are updated in a dynamic way. So the trick is just to do this quotes and cell reference and quotes, and you will be able to have this flexibility too. So going on, we already seen all these cases. And finally, you can also feed existing reports. So let's say you are doing a migration project, but you have some reports which have data from multiple sources, and you don't want your users to have problems with the migration. So, and also to use some dimensions not exactly configured. So I'll also show what we can do in regards of that. I have a demo about doing CubeSets, and what I mean is you can do a CubeSet, which is I'm going to use my worldwide importance connection, and my set expression is I want all these cube members to be called Mr. Johnson. So here I have it. You see the cube member of each of the sales people. You see the cube value of this. So I can now calculate the total sales of my group of salespeople that I have it here. I'm referencing all these. And if I want to change it, I just want these 3 guys. It will work and my cells will be updated. So I have a lot of flexibility here with the Excel. And with this, I can reference one cell to the other. You see? And I can do like I did before here. Let me see. I will do a cube value and I will reference a couple of other cells. Let me try here. Yeah. And I can populate very quickly this table with this. I think maybe I misclicked some of the yeah. Maybe this one is not referencing an actual cube set. Yeah. And so what I can do now, I can do the totals too, if I want. So the totals, I will just remove my G10. So I'll ignore it. So I'm getting the total sales by the year. I'll put it here. And now I'll just do something like this. So let's say this minus the other 2. It will be my difference. I will do this for 2016, and you guys can see exactly what is going on. So Mr. Johnson, Mr. Smith, the others, and the total. So it's very flexible to do this, and your report is always updated and ready to print. You can set a print area and everything like that. Other option you can do, of course, I have a KPI here. I have a report. And imagine this report has a lot of metrics that come, like say, from Google Analytics or other places like that. If I want to connect just a part to the sales data set, what I can do is like a cube value, like we've seen, and then the expression will be my, I think it's my sales, not sales, measures, total sales, for instance. I think it's this. Yeah, I will divide it maybe by 1,000. And so I will have, I think it's by 1 million. Yeah. So I'll have my sales here directly connected to my model, and my report remains working, getting data from Power BI service to feed an existing report which has data from a lot of other places. So this is another interesting possibility. Other thing that is interesting is that I have the same value here, and I can also connect, I can use a slicer. So I can, this slicer here has some properties. I click here, where is it? Slicer settings. So we see here, name to use in formulas. It's this slicer state, okay. So what I mean is that if I reference instead of another member a slicer state, when I click in my slicer, all my reports, it's getting data and it continues to work too. So you have a lot of flexibility also in Excel. So continuing, this is interesting, but maybe not so simple to use if you don't know well these formulas. How can we make it a little bit more intuitive? I will give a last demonstration in which I'm going to create a base with the cube members that I use more often. I'll give them some named ranges. For you guys to know, any Excel cell can be assigned a named range, or any range can be done that. And you need some rules to have a valid name, which only you can also use letters, numbers, periods, question marks, and underscores. There are a lot of signs that you can use. You cannot, for instance, use spaces or start it by numbers. So let's go back to a demo, and I will explain what I mean by this. So imagine here that I have some of the group members that we've used before. I have them here. And now what I'm going to do is here in this location here, I can give this a name. And if I give the name Texas here, when I reference equals to Texas, I'm pointing to this range. So this is, I'll show you how it is interesting. And I can do this for, let's say that I say that these 3 cells are my special range. So if I put 1, 2, 3, and now I can do equals to a sum of my special range. And it will point to the range that I have just defined. And I can, if I will remember, it's in the name manager. I can, this special range, I can modify it or delete it. I will delete it and I can manage it there. So let me do also, I will call this total sales measure. I will give it a name, which is sales. My 2016, I will call it year 2016 because it has to start by a letter. And then I have a couple of periods here, which I already gave the names like Jan, Feb, etc. So in the end, we come to a point where I can do, like we do the Q&A in Power BI, I can start typing things, which is like I want to do a cube value and I want to know the sales of 2015. No problem. I will reference. I want sales and I want the year, I think it's, yeah, year 2015. And it will just go to the Power BI cube and it will get me the value for Excel. Well, let's do the same thing, profit in Texas. No problem, just a couple of seconds. Worldwide importers, I will do profit, and then I will do Texas. It's not a problem, it's instant, and I can go and get data from my cube and feed any cell that I need in Excel, connected to as many data sets as I want. So you have a lot of flexibility on this. So some takeaway notes here. Well, the analyze in Excel really can be handy according to the maturity of your corporate analytics and self-service BI options. As you have seen, there are some options in your tenant settings. Maybe it's interesting for me to show you guys also. So if I go in my admin portal and I have my tenant settings here, I have some options, which is Excel. Okay, export to Excel. I have the option to allow users from the Power BI service to export to Excel, but this is not the setting we want. And now allow XMLA endpoints and analyze in Excel with on-premises datasets. So I can enable it. I can allow the entire organization or just some of the groups, or the opposite, to exclude some people. This is something that you can configure too. And I think this one, exactly. So you have this option to allow it or not allow it, but you cannot configure this just for like one workspace, at least in my knowledge. You allow it for the entire organization, but then you configure it at the security group level. So it's something to consider and to think through. So either you are going to allow your organization to do analyze in Excel or you're not going to allow it. And knowing that, you have to think, am I going to allow self-service BI in users to create in a workspace content, or otherwise not allow that, but now allow them to do the analyze in Excel? So you have a couple of options to decide if you are an IT pro, and also if you are a business user, to know what you can count on. Even huge organizations like a case study from Maersk, the largest ship transportation company in the world, very recently moved more from a CSV, Excel data silo mindset to a tool like Power BI. Keep your models clean and concise. You should think about naming convention and what it is to come, because if you give the users this option, then you need that everything that is visible in your models to be really clean and concise and interesting. And if you can't deliver everything to your stakeholders, or the other way around, well, maybe it's great to have some options to, I cannot do this, but hey, you have self-service BI through analyzing Excel. You can create a custom report for you connected to our certified data set in the Power BI cloud. So we have a lot of options on that. So I want to thank you guys. Please fill out the survey so that you are eligible to win some prizes in the end, and also give me please your feedback and help me to improve this session and other ones to come. Thank you guys very much. And I end with some time we have to do some questions and answers that I can help you guys. And also, you have my contacts here in the chat. So thank you guys very much. Okay, so I see the feedback survey is already here available for you guys here in the chat. Don't hesitate, share with us your feedback. And so, if you have any questions, just drop them out in this context at any point. Reach out, let's network and get to know each other and talk. So, thank you guys very much for your presence today, and have a great rest of the event during the day. Thank you very much. I see a question here. Let me answer that really quick. So, can we say that in this case, Power BI is useful to create a model and then to be shared within the organization? Well, surely, because this connecting with Excel, connecting to the Power BI dataset is the same as connecting to analysis services cube. So, which is done since a very long time, since many years. So, in this case, surely it can be useful. What you can decide is if you have a lot of options. Are you going to create analysis services cube? Are you just going to publish a certified data set and then connect different Power BIs or Excel? Are you going to publish just a data set in Power BI, which is separated from any report, and it's going to be consumed like a cube by different users? So you have all those options, and surely you can either use analysis services to create models, or even today you can use Power BI directly to very quickly, and even more quickly than with analysis services, to create models and publish them, and then for users to connect with the different endpoints that they have access to, like Excel and Power BI. Okay, so I think no more questions for the moment. Thank you, guys.